Alright, you ready?
Ready.
Go!
No, stop.
Keep going.
Stop.
And stop.
Hi there, this is Andrew with CraftyBeetroot.com. Welcome back to the shop. Today we are working on a guitar case. A guitar case for this particular guitar. I picked this up cheap about a month ago and it needs a case. Now I know normally most normal people would go to the store and buy a case, and that's what I was going to do. So that leads me into the first reason why I want to make this case, is I want to customize it. So there's a few specific things that I want in this guitar case. I want it to be able to have everything in one spot. I don't want to have another bag with additional things. I want to be able to put all of my music books. I want to be able to attach a music stand. I want to be able to put a guitar stand, and I want it all in one thing that I can either carry with a carry handle or I can strap to my back. I'm still not sure if I'm going to go with a backpack or a cross strap, but either way I want multiple ways to carry it. So the second reason is I like to make things. I make videos, I enjoy making things, that's why I do what I do, and so I thought, why not? How hard could it be to make a guitar case? And so you might be wondering, how am I going to build this guitar case? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build it on a frame of some thin ply. So this is maybe 4 mil thick, 3 mil thick. This is relatively cheap, about $12, and that's going to basically be providing, I'm going to use that as the base and for the lid. And the next thing is I'm going to pad it out with some foam. So this is by far the most expensive part of the project. Picking up this roll here in Australia was about $80 or so. It's a very high density foam, so it should keep it nice and safe. And I decided to go with a thin foam that I can kind of mold around how I want it. And as for the outside of the case, I'm going to be using my favorite fabric. That's right, waxed cotton. If you had seen my recent video that I put out on waxed cotton and how to make it, you will actually see me making up some of this fabric here and getting it ready, and that was getting ready for this particular project. I like the look of the fabric, and it should be able to give me a nice looking exterior that's also quite protective, and if it gets a little bit of rain on it, it should just bead up and run off. With that, it is now time to start laying out my plan. I've got a rough idea about how I'm going to do it. It's going to be a nice trapezoidal rhombus. It's going to be a nice shape to it, and I want to have a lot of little storage pockets while keeping it as compact as I can. Let's get to it. Here we go, we've got the whole shape all shaved out and cut out. We've got our compartments set up here for various things. Working with the foam was a lot easier than I expected. I expected it to give me a lot of trouble and I'd have to use some special tools. From what I've heard, the best way to cut the foam is to actually use an electric bread knife. I chose just to use a sharp blade and I kept it sharp and it didn't have too many problems. Obviously it's going to be a little rough here and there, but that should hopefully be covered all up in the next stage. So with that, I'm going to get the waxed cotton and I'm going to start cutting out the shapes. First thing I'm going to need to do is add the outside parts, add the pockets, add the straps. I'm going to have a shoulder strap, I think. We're going to have a pocket on the outside for music books. We're going to have a pocket outside for a music stand, and we're going to have some straps so I can attach a guitar stand. I ended up not using all the foam that I got, so this worked quite well, and I could have got away with buying probably about 2/3 of the foam that I ended up buying. But with that, it's into the sewing room. Okay, here we go. Here we have the main bag area. And here we have the lid. So obviously we need to add the zip and put it all together, but overall it's coming together quite nicely. So the next step is adding the lining. I had found some leftover felt from some old Christmas craft. My wife generously donated this to the cause. And then I picked up some of this felt here at the local fabric store for pretty cheap. So hopefully together we can put all that together and get a nice spot for that guitar with some nice pockets and whatnot. So instead of spraying glue and cutting it and fitting it that way, I'm actually going to try and sew it to fit inside to hopefully help it when combined with the outside to give it some strength. And hopefully there's nowhere that I can lose bits and pieces inside the foam. So this is probably going to be the biggest challenge of this project because there's not a lot of extra room for the guitar, so it needs to be very, very tight and needs to fit very well. So with that, let's go ahead and start. And now that we've moved on to the final hand sewing portion of this project, you may have noticed I switched from a straight needle to a bent needle. Now I didn't actually have any bent needles, so I actually made one. And how I made it is I just took the blowtorch and I heated it up and bent it. As you can see, you want to be a little bit careful with these, and every needle is going to be made of different steel, but this seemed to work quite well. You want to be careful when you're heating up that you don't overheat it, and that when you're bending it, it's at the right temperature. So I was just waiting for the needle to get red, and then I would bend it slightly. And then what I did is I heated the whole thing up to red again, and then quenched it. And that seemed to work quite well. And so now that I have my needle, we're just going to go ahead and keep going through the process. There we are, all finished. We've got this guitar case all together now, and let's just go through a little bit of the highlights and we'll kind of explain how we ended up where we did. So as planned, this is the guitar storage system. We not only have space for the guitar, we also have some additional features that I wanted added. So we've got a nice big storage spot for some books. This fits a full A4 size folder or book, and we can stack up quite a few in there. Obviously the more you add, the heavier this gets, but I do like this so I don't have to have a separate music book storage system to bring when I take my guitar somewhere. I also have a music stand that I can take in and out. Again, adds weight, but if I take it out, I don't need to have it with me, but it means I don't have to have that separate when I'm carrying the music stand. I also have some extra weird straps. That will be for a guitar stand. I haven't designed that yet, but I'm basically going to make it so that it attaches in this system here. So that's why I've got these already sewn on, because it's easier to do when you don't have the backing or it all attached. So that's why that's there. So this is all pretty simple. And so let's move on to the inside. So the guitar fits in here nice and snug. It's actually probably a little snugger than I was hoping, but it does fit there quite well. As you can see, this has all been custom sewn in. I haven't just sprayed and attached it, although I did add some glue there to hold it in place. I think if I was going to revisit this, this is what I would focus my time a lot more on, is getting that a lot more precise and perfect. It took me quite a bit of time to get this as good as it is, so I'm okay with it, and it will work really well. I'm really happy with the density of the foam that I got. It provides a nice amount of structure while also providing a little bit of impact and not adding too much weight. So inside here I've got two more additional storage. I've got under the neck where I can put a guitar strap or something. I was going to put a lid in there, but I found I didn't need it if I'm just storing some cords or a guitar strap. That's all you need. You don't really, the neck will hold it in place. And then I've got these two extra flaps so that I can store some additional things in there. And if I needed, I could probably put a little bit of sheet music behind the body of the guitar, or also down by the head. So we've got the handle and we've got the back strap. These work really well. This is a shoulder strap, so throw it on like that. It just sits like that. The biggest challenge that I had was actually attaching the lid to the base. And so I had to hand sew all around this edging, and it's pretty rough. So I'm not going to show you too closely. But basically, if there's anything that I'm going to patch up and fix up, it's probably going to be that. I'm not sure if I'm just going to go and sew backstitch over it just to kind of tidy that up. But overall, it fits the guitar in, it keeps it safe, keeps it stored. I added some, just a little bit of stenciling there at the end just to make it look a little bit more like an old military tent or storage bag or something, just because that's what I like it to look like. So if you're interested in more builds like this, you can go ahead and check out craftybeetroot.com or subscribe to the channel. Thank you.